This lesson is about branching sentences. We'll begin by defining restrictive and non-restrictive clauses. Then we'll explain three types of branching sentences: right, mid, and left branches. First, let's look at non-restrictive clauses. Segmentation is achieved through the use of non-restrictive clauses, or free modifiers. A non-restrictive modifying clause, or non-essential clause, is an adjective clause that adds extra or non-essential information to a sentence. For example, Ted, asleep in the back seat of the car, muttered truths about the universe. A second example, the lightning bolt, a merciless bandit with steel armor and the 2 6-shooters on his hip, appeared out on the horizon and then gradually grew closer to my door. Now let's talk about restrictive clauses. Restrictive modifying clauses, or essential clauses, are adjective clauses that are essential to the meaning of a sentence. They limit the thing the sentence refers to. The meaning of the sentence would change if the clause were deleted. Because restrictive clauses are essential, they are not set off by commas. So let's look at some examples. Basketball players who can dunk score points easily. The sword that slices heaven and earth is hidden in time. The man living in my closet is richer than Croesus. Okay, so now we have some idea of the difference between restrictive and non-restrictive clauses. So let's move on to talking about how we can use a base clause and add branching parts to it. Free modifiers are set off from a base clause, usually by commas or dashes. Free branches may modify the entire base clause or a single word. So for an example, a base clause might be, I watched him warily. Now we can attach a free modifier in front, creating a left branching sentence. So the example, sensing a possible rival, I watched him warily. You can also place a free modifier at the end of the base clause, an arrangement that yields a right branching sentence. I watched him warily, wondering who he was. A base clause can also contain left and right branches. So for example, sensing a possible rival, I watched him warily, wondering who he was. And that is how Ralph Ellison wrote the sentence in Invisible Man, a base clause with branches left and right. Sensing a possible rival, I watched him warily, wondering who he was. The left branching sentence is used to build suspense, or to summarize what readers already know. If you've ever read a novel in the horror genre, then you are probably familiar with these sentence types. Here's a fictional example. Waiting in the shadows, gripping tightly to a heavy bag, thinking of cruel and evil deeds, Santa Claus watched 2 boys on the naughty list get out of the car. Here is an academic example of the right branch summarizing information. Left branches, summarizing; mid branches, postponing grammatical conclusions; right branches, cumulatively adding information; diverse sentence types aid in logically expressing ideas. The mid-branch interrupts a sentence with parenthetical material, postponing the grammatical completion of a sentence base clause. These sentences are helpful for conveying a sense of complexity in an issue. The interruption usually comes between the subject and predicate. Let's start with a simple example. Fred, waiting to buy a movie ticket, watched the alien spaceship dematerialize. Next, let's look at a way that the mid-branch can demonstrate complexity in an issue. Mass shootings, an almost daily experience of agony and loss in America, are made possible by the blessing of the NRA, weapons manufacturers, and politicians on the take. The right branch is the most readable type of branching sentence. These sentences have a high readability because the reader is aware of the subject from the beginning. Right branching sentences are also called cumulative sentences. In these sentences, material accumulates after the base clause is grammatically complete. In the following sentence, James Joyce uses right branching verb phrases to give the sentence an ongoing feeling. Their trim boots prattled as they stood on the steps of the colonnade, talking quietly and gaily, glancing at the clouds, holding their umbrellas at cunning angles against the few last raindrops, closing them again, holding their skirts demurely. That's from A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. Let's hear another example. Captain Catpain felt the new energy, a feeling much different than the old energy, causing a transcendental state of mind, a reckoning, a renewal, a renegade spirit of resolve. For more on branching sentences, read Virginia Tufte's Artful Sentences, pages 173 to 187. And to become more comfortable with branching sentences, try creating your own.